Hey guys, welcome back to the Girlfriends and Goals podcast YouTube page. My name is Samaria. I'm joined by my best friend and co-host Miosha, and today we're reviewing Married at First Sight season 17, the reunion episode. Woo, we made
Mm.
it. It's been a while since we've done this, so we're out of practice. But make sure you are subscribed to the channel and give this video a thumbs up, as well as letting us know in the comments what your thoughts were about this reunion. All
Ooh.
right. So, part one, it's everybody on the stage. Apparently, the boys don't really talk much to each other except Austin and Michael, which,
And did you notice how I think it was Orion was like, oh, we
Mhm.
don't talk much, but he emphasized, like, oh, no, but myself and Michael, we do hang out. And he touched his thigh twice. Did you catch that?
Okay, I didn't catch the thigh touch.
I
That's
caught it. I'm like, you're emphasizing a lot on how close y'all are.
But didn't it feel like Michael shut that down a little bit?
Yeah, he was trying to
Distance himself?
yeah, like, oh, like it's not that
Yeah,
much,
like
like, yeah, we
I mostly hang with
cool.
Austin. Which is interesting. Okay, and then they addressed the whole pink thing, which, they talked about it was female empowerment, and Chloe stepped in and said, they have a bond that I don't have with them because they started at a different time. And so she didn't feel
Hmm.
the need to like join in on, which I get it. Like they're clearly all friends and maybe she's cordial with them, but she's not about to include herself and be like, oh, let me wear pink too. So
Yeah, and I'm tired of the pink.
I
Anyway,
am
I
I
am.
hate
I
okay. I don't like when people criticize them because it's like just let people enjoy things. Okay, they did it. We would never do that for that long
yeah.
of a period, but just them wearing pink ain't bothering us that much. Like, just
No,
leave
I
it.
don't think it's them wearing the pink. I think all the energy and attitude plus the pink. I'm just tired. I'm worn down. I
Yeah.
get it, but yeah, there's a lot of tension there still.
Oh my God, that's literally what my next comment was. That stage was tense. You could cut the tension with like a samurai sword. Like you, you need a big knife to cut that tension. And
Yeah.
so Becca, of course, starts off with the husbands were more concerned with optics than the marriages, and it turns out that Cameron is the mastermind behind all of this. Were you surprised by that? Or were you like, oh, I could have seen that coming?
I'm not surprised
Mhm.
that he was quote unquote the mastermind.
Mhm.
Um we have been saying something was a bit off with him from the very beginning. But before we jump to that, something that when Becca was talking about how they were more concerned with the optics, how Austin
Uh-huh.
was a different person off camera, she said that Austin wanted to put up more cameras in the apartment to capture more of their moments.
Hmm.
Now, the man who was so stressed out about filming
Yeah.
wanted to capture more of their moments. I was so confused by that.
Yeah, if we're confused, imagine how confused Becca was. I can only imagine. But
Okay.
maybe like to capture their sweeter moments so that he could come off looking, better.
Better. Or you could
Yeah,
just do right when they're there.
you could do that. And then
Yeah.
Brennan admitted to trying to spin the narrative, which I appreciated because it was clear. Like, if I had to walk out with a villain from the men, Cameron for me would
Mm.
be the top, and then for Brennan probably next. But I do think for Brennan, it was more of a I'm trying to spin the narrative and control how things are going, as opposed to I'm this evil mastermind who's consistently trying to get under these girls' skin. That's how I see Cameron.
Yeah, I Cameron is definitely giving petty vibes. Even
So
just his facial expressions, which we'll get into later, all the flip-flopping he did this whole reunion. But yeah, Brennan, I'd agree. It did seem, even though I don't agree that he was protecting her, I
mhm.
think he was very concerned about his image. And I was happy that Kevin called him out. You're on national television.
Yeah.
You say that, oh, we didn't want it out there for private consumption or private business or whatever he
Mhm.
said. Well, you came on this show. that you have so many seasons to go back and watch on Netflix included, no commercials, that you were shocked how that you didn't want your business to be put out there.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the things that he called out about her, I don't think that America would have chewed him up over it.
Yeah, I think honestly, if he would have just come out and said why he wasn't attracted to her, this whole, oh, I'm trying to protect her thing, no, you're not. You're just trying to get off scot free, and that's okay. But you can't convince me that you are into Emily enough that you were really trying to protect her image. Especially, it seemed like he was trying to conceal things that she was okay with having out there. She wasn't trying to hide that she liked a drink. She wasn't trying to hide these
Mm-hmm.
things about her. So, really, what is your role as the protector? Even in the meetings with Dr. Pia, when he's like, well, this is my wife. No, Brennan, like, just tell us why you're not attracted to this girl. Stop dragging us along.
Yeah. And then he said that he realized that he didn't trust the process once he realized that they were mismatched,
Mm.
and that he didn't want the producers to create their own narrative. So you knew enough from the beginning that, yeah, production can tweak things in a certain way, but why even come on the show? Because that was, even if you were attracted to her and everything, that still could have happened.
So there was a rumor before the season started, and actually it was more than a rumor, but
Mm.
apparently Brennan had an Instagram page that was public for his acting. And so I guess he was signed to like management. And so at the very beginning of this season, of course, I didn't say it on here because I know our audience doesn't enjoy spoilers,
Mm-hmm.
but apparently at the beginning of the season, that came out and then they shut down the Instagram account. So I don't know if he has pursued acting in the past or is pursuing acting or plans on pursuing acting in the future. But
Hmm.
that to me, so it always made sense that he was trying to protect that image because he had
Mm.
goals after the show.
Interesting.
Yeah,
This just see that this is not the show for it. I don't.
I don't think so. Yeah, unless you are the person who is fortunate enough to have a love story after this, like
And you have
it's
to be
not the space.
likable.
It's just not the space for it. Um, okay, so
Oh,
I put down,
also something else.
yeah.
With this whole him protecting her,
Mm,
Brennan. We watched the season. You were pretty cold and off-putting with her as well. So I don't. It's one thing if you just didn't like her. I agree with him. Maybe he didn't lead her on as much.
yeah,
He was in it, but he wasn't leading her on. But
yeah.
you were pretty cold and off-putting. So what
Which,
did that have to do with you
no,
not being attracted to her and her?
yeah. I was gonna say, which later when we get to Emily, because he was so cold and off-putting to her, I like, girl, I side with him on your delusion. I'm sorry.
Oh, 1,000%. Not only on the delusion, but I think we're seeing probably a lot of the frustration and bitterness that she was able to hold together, especially in the therapy scenes. We're seeing all that play out now.
Yep.
Granted, it was in reaction to what he did, but it was still there. So she also wasn't as likable, I think, as she thinks.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
she thinks America is all on her side. No, girl, we not.
Girl, honestly, to to be very frank, even though we don't see it for her, I feel like we were nicer to her than everybody else. So if we, the nice ones, feel like, girl, you're delusional,
You're doing too
baby,
much.
there's a whole side of the internet that is dragging you.
And I was one of the people earlier on that said, oh, maybe they did work, maybe they were intimate during the honeymoon because they
Mhm.
never really said yay or nay. And it wasn't until the very end where Brennan confirmed, like, no, we kissed once.
But she said there were multiple makeout sessions.
She was also drinking a lot. So I don't know if we can really trust what she. I believe him when he said, I kissed her once. There was a lot of forehead kisses. I saw those, but as far as kiss,
Yeah.
I believe
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. So I do think there was a lot of strategizing going on. I don't necessarily think there was a bad intent behind it for all of the men. Um, I think it was more protecting image and things like that. But whether there was that intent or not, it did come off as negative. It did come off as controlling. And that to me was the bigger issue. Like maybe you're not intending to be controlling, which if we decide to give you the benefit of the doubt, there's that. But you're still being controlling.
So I want to circle to Claire and Cameron, since
Yeah, there's
Cameron
more.
supposedly is the mastermind behind all of this. It is so difficult to decipher what's the truth, what's not. It's a whole hot mess. So for this session, I just want us to give our opinions
Mhm.
on, well, I want first, I'll hear your opinion on what do you think is true with these two? Like, what do you think happened as far as we saw the wedding day? We'll leave that be because they were okay that day.
Mhm.
Let's get into the day after the wedding, the
The
honeymoon,
attraction.
and the breakdown. Like, what do you think actually happened? And we know, y'all, it's a bunch of lies. We're just roll
The
with it with us.
lies.
The lies. But I'm just curious to hear, what do you think is true?
Okay. I don't think off the bat that Claire found Cameron very attractive, but I
Okay.
do believe that she was willing to like give it a chance and grow into it. That I did see.
Okay. I
I
agree.
do, yeah, I do think that Cameron's type, as for what he said, was European and slender. And I can see how Claire was like, oh, that's not me. Because,
Mm-hmm.
I would say she has more of like an athletic type of build,
Mm-hmm.
so she's not
Petite,
slender.
short. Yeah.
She's
Because
not
he
tall
mentioned
and
tall too.
yeah. So I could see the fact that he's saying he couldn't see how that translated to him not being attracted to her. I'm like, stop playing dumb. So I could clearly see how, she like checked out. And then he clearly was not willing to give this a chance because he was the one who came up with, hey, I know a way that we can get out of this. So I don't think Claire is like, I don't think her hands are completely clean. I think there were several situations that she did not handle properly, but
Mm-hmm.
I could see her reasoning behind checking out over the European tall and slender
Mm-hmm.
comment. And I think he was more of the, hey, I know how we can get out of this. And she went along with it.
I agree. I think this is a similar situation to Clint and Gina in Tennessee, Nashville, where
Yeah.
they were talking about attraction and this and that way too early. And I think his sense of humor, wit, whatever you want to call it, is off putting in that he's even that towards the end where he got into this tiff with Lauren, like, oh, you can't take a jab.
We not for don't be first of all, if we're not like best of friends, don't be rough joking with me like that. In Liberia, we call it like a hard joke. Don't
Yeah.
bring your hard jokes over here if we don't have it like that.
Yeah, I think it's off-putting, and for that to be the second date, and then he kind of told on himself and that he must have knew it was an issue because he said she questioned me about for about 30 minutes on the specifics. Okay, exactly what do you mean about slender? Let's pull up some pictures because I think in her mind she's wondering, do I have a chance with this guy?
Yeah.
If I'm not his
Yeah.
physical type. And then even with the airport situation, the honeymoon,
Yes.
he was trying to act as though he planted that seed and didn't water it by
Hmm.
how he was treating her. And I think unfortunately, she put the walls up and was not interested really in anything else.
Yeah.
And so I think he sensed it once he got his little jabs and jokes in. He's like,
Yeah.
okay, but I'm still willing to try. She
And
was
I
like,
still want to be
no.
physical. What about that like would make her comfortable to move into a physical anything with you?
Absolutely not. And then even she was shocked in the after party with him saying, oh, I was attracted to her. That looked like a genuine reaction to me.
Hmm.
I think she went along with it and was messy in terms of covering her tracks. And she was in her feelings that Cameron kept receipts.
She didn't have enough leave out to cover the
Her leave out was skimpy. She didn't anticipate that he was going to have as much bark as he does.
And that's the thing. I kind of felt bad for her because he clearly he knows the buzzwords to use to antagonize this girl. And
Trigger,
so
trigger.
he automatically puts her on the defense. She
She
gets
was
so
just like,
flustered. She was like, oh my God, with those curtain bangs, which I think Claire is a lovely young woman. I don't think the curtain bangs work for most people. I loved it when she tucked it behind her ear. That was really cute to me. But yeah, that's all I'll say about the hair and fashion for this season.
both of them are a mess. They're both liars, but I do believe that he planted the initial seed. She watered it, let it grow. He watered it, let it grow. And the crazy part to me is that after all of that,
Oh, wait,
this fool, oh, go
sorry,
ahead.
before you say that, I
Mm-hmm.
was going to say, talk about how he takes little pieces of information that she's
Oh,
shared in vulnerable moments, and then he twists them around, like the situation with her saying she loved her ex-boyfriend.
oh yeah. I don't
That was
believe that she
cold.
told him that she recently had sex with her ex.
Yeah, I
In
don't
fact,
believe
I
that at
remember
all.
her saying that she would always have an issue with exes claiming her in public.
Mm-hmm. So, and then when she spoke about it, she said that relationship ended a year ago, and I was explaining to him how in love with that person I was, and so I dealing with a person like him who it looks like he gets off on this type of stuff.
Oh, his facial expressions the whole time she was getting flustered was taking me out. He's
He's
like,
so
yes,
mean.
got her.
He's so mean. But yes, this okay, the next thing that you're about to say is what made me believe Claire more than Cameron. Even though I think like in situations, maybe they had agreed not to say certain things, and so she would lie to make sure those things didn't
Mm-hmm.
come out. This next thing made me think, oh yeah, he's diabolical.
Even with the scene of him bringing up the marriage, or are we going to stay married? He
Mm,
said divorce. She said separated. So
yeah.
there, even in that, she's like, yeah, it was talked about beforehand, but there was some confusion clearly because they gave different answers.
Hmm. Yes. So say what you were gonna say, because even after all of
Oh, yeah. So even after all of that, Kevin's like, okay, take the process away, take everything that's happened.
that,
Would you be interested in revisiting a potential relationship with her? And what does this fool say? Yes.
he says yes, and then he starts to pursue it, like actively on the stage.
Actively
Like, oh yeah, but what if we why if she was all the things that you just said that she was, and
a
all the things
sociopath.
you've been claiming this girl is just the pits, and now you're open to the idea of get first of all, Kevin, why would you even ask that question? That was the one thing that did upset me. Like, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not.
But this isn't the first time he's showed his hand with this kind of foolishness. Remember when he had the one-on-one scene with Brennan? They were at some bar, game plays, and Brennan seemed shook that he would entertain the idea of continuing a relationship with her. Like, wait, what? What did he say? Oh, yeah, if she says yes on decision day, I'll say yes. So he been playing games. So I agree. A lot of people don't like Claire, but y'all are being willfully ignorant to the back and forth games that he's playing. So if he's willing to do that on camera, you know he was playing games with her off camera.
And
He's just smarter.
this girl is like even then when he said he would be open to a relationship with her, her response she was like, well, I don't think I I don't think that I can put myself in this. Like she was flustered even then.
It took her a while to get around to saying no,
No.
absolutely not. And then he, after that, again, takes more jabs at her. She's a liar. She's this, she's that.
He's like,
Man,
I think we're in a place where we can start to earn trust. Sir, I don't want to talk to you ever again. You're not earning
absolutely
my trust.
crazy.
So
She
yeah,
said, you're
that
not deserving of a second chance. And
mhm.
neither one of them are. It's a hot mess.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're even willing to entertain it shows me that you're on a different planet. Mm-mm.
Anyway, there's a lady who was like showing text message receipts. I don't know how true they are
Mm,
online about her being an ex of Cameron, and he like would not stop contacting her like about the process that he was going through with MAFS, about the
mm,
heart situation and stuff like that. She actually tweeted our account, and then I saw it on the MAFS fan Instagram
mm.
account too. I didn't know how serious it was, but yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, Becca and
So
Austin.
yeah, let's get to Becca and Austin and the lack of attraction he just will not admit.
He said he wasn't avoiding it. You know what, Austin, you can be honest now. Like the season's over.
And Kevin
I
tried
know.
to nudge him so many times, dude, just get it out there. We know. I know more than you think I know.
Mhm. He
That
was
that's what he said in so many words.
he said his timeline. So apparently he said the timeline on the after party, but that's not something that he was communicating to Becca, because when she mentioned it, she's like, it would have been nice if I got the whole 6 months thing, um, instead of you just like following, like dangling a carrot in front of me.
Because in that, when they were filming, the timeline thing wasn't a thing. Now, I can acknowledge some people do have timelines. I'm not saying that generally that's not true. I'm saying in this specific instance, I believe that he watched the season play back
Mm,
and it was damage control to try to clean it up. So the reason why he didn't mention it to Becca in the moment is because it wasn't a thought in his mind. He
yeah.
just thought he was going to skate by without being intimate with her and really having to answer to it. If it was a thing in that moment, he would have said it, and that would have been a clear cut way to shut it down.
Or maybe he wouldn't have. Maybe he's so like conflict over. I don't know. I don't know. But
It's all BS, regardless.
I think was it in one of his diary cam moments where he called her a horny girl, or
Oh
was it one of
yeah, when
those?
she said they were having an intimate moment, just hugged up in the kitchen, and he's like, "Oh, get off me, you horny girl." What is
Mhm.
that to even say
Say
to
to
your wife?
somebody, right?
They're just trying to
Exactly.
give you a hug.
Becca says she thinks he knew all along that she wasn't the one for him, and I agree.
And at a broader level, I think all the men except for Michael agreed early on that they didn't want any of these women.
Mm.
I think they all, now how they went about handling it, Orion included, was different, but I think they all agreed, Austin included. They didn't want these women like that.
They didn't.
Mm-mm.
I don't know that I have much else to say, but Austin starts lying. He says, "I wanted us to work, and I did my best." No, you didn't on both accounts. And I feel like Becca is so much better than me, because after their moment on stage, he went to the
Mm-hmm.
back and he was like crying, and she hugged him and held him. I have compassion for people. I do. Like, I hate to see people break down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. He would not have been able to touch me with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, there was no intimacy of any kind, I think, that was real between them. And Kevin said at the end, yeah, we got nowhere because there's still no honesty. And Austin had the nerve to be offended.
Okay, so after them, Chloe and Michael came on. I don't have too much on them, but we can just touch on it. Uh, a small part of me feels like Chloe said yes on decision day so she could come to the reunion and talk about how committed she was to the marriage. Just a
A
little
big
bit.
part of me believes that she said yes just to not,
Be
just for the
surprised.
optics of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No part, because she never addressed some of her concerns ever really
Mhm.
about Michael as a partner. So
The
you just thought
clothing.
it was all rainbows and roses and he was just the
Mhm.
best thing ever. That's not true. So I
And
can't trust anything that comes out of her mouth
And the
or
fact that
his.
the fact that when she left after the honeymoon, she was saying, a part of me wanted him to ask me to stay. First of all, Chloe, you are the most mature person on this entire stage. I don't believe that about you for a second. That
Playing
if
games.
wanted him to, right? I don't think she would play games. She's just too mature for that. She holds herself a certain way. Like I would expect that from like a Claire, or yeah, not even a
Mhm.
backup, but like a Claire for sure, but not.
And the way the scene played out, she did this whole big spiel about her being an introvert and needing to recharge and this. realistically, what do you want this man to say
To
to you
say,
after you say all of that?
please recharge with
Girl,
me in your space. That's not how it works. As an
and
introvert
I think
myself.
Kevin asked, so if he would have asked you to say you really would have, I don't believe that. I think she didn't want to be there. She needed her time.
Yeah,
You said a whole lot. He believed you. Now you expect us to believe that he shouldn't have believed any of it?
I don't buy it at all.
Then
Uh,
she said she felt a way about the mother thing.
yeah,
Once again, you playing games. It would have been a realistic response for you to feel a way up front that he didn't want to disclose to his mom that you were married.
mhm,
Now you expected him to read your mind and that you felt a way about it.
yeah. I wasn't buying it. And then she said that she doesn't think Michael came in for a marriage, which I can agree with her on that for sure. It was funny because she was singing kind of the same tune as the other women on that one. Like he didn't come for marriage, and I guess he told her that she didn't have to change her last name.
So, okay, I could agree that I think maybe he didn't do it the second time for valid reasons. I
Mhm.
think he was just like, oh, it's something to do. Let me get back through it. But the reasons that she gave
Hmm.
to me didn't really lend to it being performative. Like the whole last name thing, many men feel that way in our generation. Like, oh, okay, fine. Don't change your last name. Nobody cares. Like, do you?
Yeah,
Many men don't care about that. So that I was like, okay. Then the mom thing, to me, that was believable.
it was
If
believable.
if I were in because if I were in
I
his
wouldn't have
shoes,
gone for it, but it was
yeah,
believable.
yeah, yeah. I if I were him, I probably would hold on telling my parents too. You would have to force my hand. Like it would have to be an ultimatum just because if I don't have to deal with this on the back end with my family, then great for me. So I don't know. The reasons she gave just really weren't adding up.
So Kevin asked, "What did she do that made doubt creep into your mind?" We didn't really get a good answer from Michael, which did we expect that we would? I did
She
not.
wasn't it. She was never going to be it between all the stuff she was talking about, the adoption, the farm,
Yeah.
even type. I don't, yeah, she
And if
wasn't it.
she's honest, he wasn't it for her either.
No, they weren't it for each other.
Yeah. All right. So then they had a conversation with all of the women on the stage, which for the most part, Kevin was asking, why did y'all go along with this? Were you were you surprised that they went along with something like this?
No,
Me neither.
I'm not surprised because if you really want to be married and your spouse is coming to you and presenting this as, oh, this could really work for us.
This could protect us,
Yeah, like we still need to just get to the other side of this.
and if you're new, you want to put out there like, I listen to my spouse and what their needs and wants are. I, am supportive of the things that
Hmm.
might give them anxiety. Like, so it didn't surprise me.
Yeah, it wasn't surprising. And especially for Emily, it's her first relationship. Um, I think for Becca, it was very murky. She was just trying to give it more time, give it more time, give it more time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't that surprising. I think for Claire, she was like, okay, sure, fine, because I don't know that you're attracted to me anyways. So how do I get through this process
Yeah.
unscathed? So yeah, it wasn't believable, but I also agree, like you're adults. You don't have to go through with things that are positioned to you. Like,
And a lot of people have been petitioning in different comments about not letting the engaged couple or the married couples interact with each other so much. And I would love them to go. They used to do that early on where the newly married couples wouldn't,
mhm,
and I think that's for the best because even though you have some similarities with their situations, there were enough differences that I think the girls are now conflating. Like nobody's in the
mhm,
same box, I mean in the same bag as Emily because
mm-mm,
her personality is just so different from I think the rest of the women, you know? So the fact that they have found community in each other is lovely to a certain extent and Dr. Pia actually mentioned that way later.
mhm.
But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think too that um it can exasperate an issue much more than it needs to. Like, I think for them, it was believable and like, oh, let's go along with it. But they never thought these men were cahooting maybe as much as they were, or that they were all checked out. Like when they brought up the whole, like, well, none of y'all were intimate. The women were open to it, but what are the chances that none of the men were interested,
Well,
other than Michael, which we won't include him?
mhm.
But what are the chances that all of y'all have this rule or thing?
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we get, oh, before we get to Emily and Brennan, I did like Chloe's advice to Emily, where she said, seek the truth, but don't do it in a way that makes you feel like you have to become combative. To me, that was very like, hey, I'm mature. I've lived a few more years than you. Here's how
Mm-hmm.
you take into account how she usually comes off.
Mm-hmm.
And just, hey, don't give this man your power, because I think, and someone tweeted back to me this, like, Emily thinks this makes her look powerful, the way she was responding at the reunion. But no, it just
No,
it
girl.
reeks of you've given all your power to this
As
man.
many times as she broken down and then got herself together and all the back and forth. I do know when Chloe was talking to Emily a few times, she was kind of rolling her eyes a bit. So she wasn't here for the advice. It's not what she wants to hear.
Okay, so Emily and Brennan, he feels like they
Mm.
weren't a match, and he felt slighted that the experts didn't match him properly. Um, She
Hmm.
she felt like anytime she said a negative thing, he punished her. I could see that.
I could too. I'm
Yeah,
out of here. He didn't even want to move in. Remember?
right. Right.
So yeah, he
And
decided pretty early on.
the fact that he wasn't saying to her, "Hey, these are the things that you're doing that I interpret as negative," I think is an issue, especially with someone whose first relationship this is. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she's she was clearly unaware of how she presents, and I think she still is. But now she's unaware because she's choosing delusion, not
Yeah.
because she hasn't, been told it.
And at that time, she wasn't told. So
Yeah. So she
I
can.
mean, there are men who would date her, marry her, and not see how she conducts
Mhm.
herself as an issue.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Here's the thing, Emily, I guess Brennan was trying to apologize in the one on one, but I think Emily had already decided how this would go.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what your sorry is, what your apology is. I'm coming in guns a blazing. So there was not even a chance for a genuine apology if that's what he wanted to give.
I think where she messed up was just not even wanting. She barely acknowledged the fact that he was taking accountability.
Mhm.
It sucks that it took this long,
Yes.
but this is where I think she's probably going to look back and learn from this, and that you could have not believed it was genuine, but for him to admit, like, yeah, I kicked this thing off in the wrong way,
Mhm.
girl, that's all you really need. Like, just move
He
on.
admitted. And one thing that I want him to learn, because he kept saying, and we can go into part two now,
Yeah.
but it's almost like he wants her to accept the apology. She's not going to let it
Mm.
go. And so every time she wouldn't accept his apology, he'd be like, see, that's her negative. No, she's not being negative. She just doesn't care for your apology. And that is okay. When you do things that are harmful to someone, they don't have to forgive you. And that's just the reality.
Yeah, for her sake, she should move on, but I wouldn't have handled it the way that she did, but
Never.
we've yeah, we've been in situations where you can kind of sense where okay, the person is apologizing just to save face.
Mhm.
And in this situation, it's hard to believe exactly what's true. Now all of a sudden you're telling the truth. Why now? So
Yeah. Speaking of which, this whole thing about him wanting to sleep with her friend Lily, Lily was on the screen the entire season. Now they're not friends anymore. Not to say that
Lily was one of the friends.
who, yeah, she was
And
the
you
we
remember
saw
in
her
the
the most
beginning, we
when they
were
were like,
like,
she's not. The
you
friends are her
you need to
ops.
check your group of friends.
The friends were
Yeah.
her ops, and Lily was the main one because we saw her throughout the season. Not to say that that's not true, because it definitely could be, but this Emily not bringing it up to Brennan, it just doesn't.
Mm.
She doesn't seem like the type who would sit on that type of information. So maybe she found it out way later and she doesn't want to admit
Mhm.
like how she found it out or who told her or whatever the case might have been, but
So you
something about
think
that was
something
off.
happened? Do you think something happened during the season?
I think it's possible that he was attracted to Lily and
Mhm.
maybe like said some things, maybe sent some text to like a Cameron or something like that. I don't know that I would see him going as far as hitting on Lily, but who
Mhm.
knows? We don't know these people. But I do think something is up with Emily not addressing it with him or Emily not bringing it up sooner. I want to know the timeline. When did he tell
Mm.
you that? Or was it even Lily that told you that? Because even when Kevin asked her, why would you not bring that to Brennan? I didn't even want to address it with him because I just didn't want to accept that it
Mm.
was true.
Sound like a lie.
It does. It does. It gotta be.
Mm. What did you think about Emily coming for Kevin?
Maybe. Kevin said,
What you
"Well,
not gonna
girl,
do?
listen, you yelling at me." He said, "I'm not gonna get frazzled by you yelling. I don't know if you know this, but this is not gonna work with me." I'm trying to make sure we get to the facts. And I think Emily's frustration is because she did it with Keisha Knight Pulliam too.
Mhm.
And I'm not too happy with her doing this with the black host. But but I think her issue is they were completely wronged, and she wants the
Mm.
hosts to take the position of let's pile on the men. But the hosts have a job to do. They have to hear your side of the story and hold you accountable for what you did wrong, and they have to hear the men's side of the story to be able to hold them accountable for what they did wrong. Like they are not here to be team Emily. They're here to host a
Mm-mm.
reunion for the entire cast.
What did she say? Y'all keep digging and digging. Girl, what do you think this is? You're just gonna show up and sit here?
They could have done
Yeah,
some more if you ask me.
yeah. Emily, I think her frustrations are misplaced, and
For sure.
all of y'all have been lying the entire season. We can't really figure out the truth. So at this point, it's just opinions.
Right.
So you admit that you went along with it as well. All of y'all are liars.
Exactly.
So
And then, do you think she said that if he left, because she kept on bringing up, you could have left, you could have left. First of all, girl, you could have too. But do you think that she said that she'd make his life a living hell if he left?
if he left, no. I think she said, I'll make your life a living hell in response to something else that he said, not for him
Interesting.
just leaving. Yeah.
Because he
Because I
left
think,
already. Right.
yeah. And I also think earlier on in the therapy sessions with Dr. Pia,
Mhm.
she was already, the light bulb was going off like, oh, okay, this guy is checked out.
Yeah.
So she was pushing early, I think, for him to be honest, and he was resistant.
Can I say though, because Emily made the point like, I got into an accident, I broke my wrist or hurt my wrist, my hair got cut off. I made all of these things positive, which to her credit, she did, you know? But I
Mm.
think what Brennan means by negative a lot of times is addressing issues. Like for
Mm.
people who are in long-term relationships, like there could be a slight misunderstanding and then you have to sit down and like talk through, well, this is how I felt when you did this. And then when you said
Mhm.
this, that made me think about that and that triggered whatever. I think he has an issue with being confronted with issues. And
Mm.
that's what he sees. That's one of the things that he sees as being negative. So every time Emily says, well, you did this to me and I wasn't
Mhm.
in favor of it, he's like, oh, we were having such a good time. Why would you bring that
Why you
up?
have to, yeah, bring down the mood. Yeah.
Yeah.
And on top of the fact it's on TV, he doesn't want to be critiqued and
Mhm.
he can, he's defensive, I think, maybe by nature.
Mhm.
So
What
I
did
don't
you
know
think
if it would matter when or how you brought it up. But
what did you think of her saying like I'm an 8.5, you're like a 6?
once
The
again, negative. I mean,
the thing is, if Cameron would have said that to Claire, Claire would have been in shambles. But that does not work with Brennan. Like you're not hurting his feelings. You're just
mm-mm.
not. You know what I'm saying? And so she also said, I don't believe he wasn't attracted to me. If someone is saying I'm not attracted to you, please believe them.
I
Stop
think
the
she was
hype.
talking about from a physical standpoint. Like, I
I
think
think.
attraction obviously is more than just physical, but
Yeah.
I think for her and maybe even her lack of dating experience and how she said, she'll get with guys and then they won't necessarily stick around. I
Mm,
think she's always been focused on the physical, because she is well
yes.
put together. She dresses nice,
Hmm.
all those things. But I think maybe for her, she doesn't give much thought to the things that she's doing and saying, and maybe parts of her personality that could be off putting.
I honestly think it is also the physical. And he
Mm.
said something that made me think. So you know Michael Ealy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, beautiful man.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, he's just not my cup of tea. So
Okay.
like, I would see him and go, "Oh, that's a nice looking man," but I don't
Yeah.
necessarily find him attractive. And it seemed like that's what Brennan was saying. Like, I can appreciate that she's well
Mm.
put together. I can appreciate that she's a cute girl. I don't feel drawn to that. So I think it was
Mm.
physical, and then her personality didn't help.
Yeah. Or the personality made the physical even more,
Even
He was even
exactly.
more repulsed, like,
Yeah, by it.
yeah. Because sometimes the opposite can happen. You can see someone and you're like, oh, they're not my cup of tea, but their personality, the way they treat me,
Yes.
they kind of win you over to a certain
Yeah.
extent.
Yeah.
So
Emily has too much vitriol for him. I
yeah.
think she decided, oh, he's petty, so I'm going to be pettier. And she wants to hurt him back so badly, but he refuses to be hurt. Like, he's just not going to be.
Yeah.
And so she needs to find a way to get herself together.
Yeah, it was just too much. And I don't know. Maybe it's the pride in me. You couldn't pay me to show up.
On television, I would be Lauren. I wish you the life that you deserve.
Like, you just could not pay me enough to show up and feel and give that much energy to someone I was married to for 2 months. No
Married
kids.
too.
And on top of the fact, them knowing these men really weren't into them, weren't attracted to them,
Mm,
that would give me even more motivation to
yeah,
take my level of unbothered up a notch.
I would
You
fake
wouldn't
it.
you wouldn't get anything out of me.
I would be like a rock on that stage. Who
I'm
did that?
Gucci,
Who did
baby.
that? I don't remember what did AD say in that podcast? That was AI. That wasn't me. That was AI.
Yeah. Hey, you just, and even for my friends, I'll be like, girl, no, do not let him see you sweat. These men
Mm,
have gotten enough from you.
yeah.
Mm.
Okay. So Austin gets sick and has to leave and comes back with a shaved beard. I don't know. Whatever. Uh the men come out and they have their
Mhm.
time. I think Brennan admitted that he should have been more transparent, that he should have left, and all that stuff. He felt like he didn't mislead her. A part of me does think that he kept a string there to use her when he needed her. I remember Clear saying like she was driving him to Aldi dealerships or
Mhm.
something. So I think he knew she wanted this to work and use it to his advantage when he could. So I don't
Mhm.
think he's completely
And he kept
innocent.
saying divorce is not an option. Divorce is not an option.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. You know what was funny to me? When
Hmm.
Cameron pulled out that EKG and was trying to get Kevin to see it. Have you ever seen a person look that uninterested? Kevin was like, mm-hmm, that's the EKG. Mm-hmm. That was where your heart stopped. Okay. Yeah. He paid it dust. He was over them at
And
this point.
I do not believe that Claire was not reaching out and trying,
No, I think
because
she
he
was.
admitted during the season, once again, another lie where he's like, yeah, I just don't really need her like that.
Yeah.
So I
I think
believe
she
you were
was.
probably canceling on her. Yeah.
And she was probably all wrapped in the, okay, well, we were in this together. What do we, like
Mm-hmm.
she was probably just as frazzled as we saw her on this stage. So I think she was probably reaching out. Uh Cameron has
Mm-hmm.
to go and rest. I don't know. I don't do you
Leave it alone.
okay. Okay.
Lauren and Orion.
Yeah, let's do that. There were more things with like the men that
Oh,
came up,
okay.
but um Yeah, I think Lauren in the group session, like Lauren said something that I thought was very nice to Brennan, which she gave him a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
benefit of doubt. She said, "Listen, you didn't want divorce to be an option, so maybe that's why you felt like you needed to be silent, and I can understand that." Like Lauren
Mm-hmm.
is just too nice, but I love that Becca broke it down to Brennan and said, "Can you see how it's most of the issues were Claire and Cameron,
Mm-hmm.
Brennan and Emily. Like
Yeah.
I hate that Becca and Lauren are thrown into this, which the pink doesn't help, right?
Mm-hmm.
The stand in solidarity, but their attitudes are just much different than Emily's for sure, and maybe even Claire's a little bit. So
Yeah, I think Emily is next level, then Claire, then Becca. And Lauren, I'm also kind of confused as to why she's in it because y'all were done so early.
yeah, I
I
think
mean,
they're
he
just
was,
her friends,
yeah.
but mm, you gotta know when to be a part of the group and when not to be a part of the group. That's all I'm gonna say. Emily turned up because she felt like Claire wasn't getting grace. It's like she didn't even let Claire speak because you saw there was a moment when
Mm-hmm.
Claire wanted to say something, but Emily was like, she's being disrespected and dismissed. Girl, worry about yourself.
Because she was also lying too.
Hmm.
All of
Hmm.
y'all. Mm.
Okay. So Lauren and Orion.
Yeah, I mean, nothing much but these two, other than he uses the time to finally admit everything we already know. You were judging her about the whole sex conversation on the honeymoon, and he overreacted. He admitted to that. He admits to never really giving the process or the marriage a chance.
Yeah.
Um, we already knew that.
I think
And
Lauren
okay.
handled it the way that I would have wanted Emily to handle it. You know,
Yeah,
I wish him nothing more than what he deserves. I'm
yeah.
past this. I
I
think
will.
she really is over it. Go ahead, sorry.
She's a little salty though. She is. More, she handled it better than the rest of the girls, but still not quite at the level.
Okay.
Because yeah, there's still a little bit there because I think there was a lot of round and round of, oh, he wants to be friends. Oh no, he doesn't want to be
Throughout
friends.
the season.
It
Yeah.
was after like 3 or 4 times where she finally was like, okay, I'm done with you.
Yeah.
So and then she said that she was sad about the partner she was matched with and that he wasn't ready for marriage.
She threw
We
some
know.
jabs, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I mean the experts, there wasn't too much on
Oh
it.
yeah.
There was one thing that Dr. Pia said that I
Mm-hmm.
that I really liked. She said talking about it with each other, it's nice that they have found community,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes you have to be able to process your own situation on your own. And I think that that specifically applies to Emily and maybe Claire a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because, and I think Becca needs to take note, and even Lauren. Like honestly, it applies to all four of them because in community, like I think it adds fuel to the fire where now stuff that your specific person didn't even intend to be negative, you're saying it as negative because that's what Brennan did. So they must be in cahoots. Like it's just too, they're too attached.
Did you catch Emily's face when Dr.
She
Pia was
didn't like it.
talking? She
Yeah.
ain't like it. She's not ready to move on.
She
She
has to
likes
go.
being mad.
She and I get it because it took so long for her to wake up and realize what was going on. But girl, maturity is that situation was not serving you.
If I were her friend in real life, I would expect all conversations to be done about
Listen,
this.
babe, we're
Yeah.
not talking about this anymore, okay? You had your time.
Mm-mm. No, but yeah, the expert said everything. I mean, that we were thinking, like y'all could have went to them and sought help
Yeah.
if you
Wait,
really
can we
needed
talk
to.
about Cameron and the quivering lip?
And you want to call Claire a sociopath?
He
Y'all
said
are all
they're the
crazy.
ones wearing pink and colluding. Wearing pink is a collusion now? The
He
quivering lip
apologizes
took me
to
out.
he apologizes to Dr. Pepper is like, I did lie to your face. I'm sorry. Anybody on the internet defending this guy? And I'm not even a huge Claire fan,
Ick.
but his is so obvious.
So wrong with that
He's like,
man.
I'm sorry, I blacked out there.
Listen, he is such a showman. Good grief.
Mm,
All right, and then they had the grand finale, which we didn't need, but Austin came back with a shaved beard. They addressed the double date situation. Um, I don't know. Emily feels like the men have no accountability.
girl.
I don't know.
And
I
you're
do
not
think,
the one to serve accountability. You don't want to
girl,
hear the apologies anyways. I will say Brennan has taken accountability
yeah,
with
he just needs
her
to stop
and with
telling.
Dr. Pia.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
if I was him, I wouldn't give no more.
And he shouldn't, honestly. And I'm not even a Brennan fan, but he shouldn't at this point. I do
Mm.
think Cameron got off easy with the experts because of the tears and because of his heart stuff. But that's the only place that I could see anybody getting off easy. They tried to show clips of cute moments that they had, but the cute moments just weren't given. Like,
And then one more thing on Cameron. This is the
mhm,
last time I'm gonna say it. I don't know if it was in part one or two, but or maybe when he bought out the receipts, I can't remember. But he made it a point to note that the day that he announced his divorce was the day that his heart thing happened.
yeah, just
So
heartbreak.
once again, he's connecting the dots to make it seem as though this situation or Claire is the reason without fully saying it.
Mhm.
That's very manipulative.
He said it's not hereditary. It was just from pure heartbreak. Okay, Cameron.
Okay.
All
Mm.
right.
All right.
Well,
We're
y'all,
done.
we have made it to the end. Are you gonna watch the episode? We're not reviewing it, but are you gonna watch the
No,
episode next week?
I
I
may
kind of
watch
want,
a few recaps. In
yeah,
fact, and now I'm gonna go back and watch the reunion recaps that I missed since we were kind of late with it. I have been holding
yeah.
off because I don't want to jade my opinion.
I want
But
to see why why Chloe and Lauren aren't cool anymore. Because it seems like because she followed Michael, and I think Lauren is a truth teller, so that's why I'm like, I want to know like what's going on. But
yeah, and it seems as though Emily and Chloe, there's something there too from the
I
preview.
would expect if I were Chloe, I wouldn't associate with Emily, honestly.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be associated with them. But yeah, I'm done with season 17. Maybe I'll watch a few recaps. Y'all have to catch us for 18. So,
Yeah, and we'll be back probably more in May with
mm-hmm.
other stuff on our channel. So just,
And y'all let us know. I know y'all have mentioned Ready to Love.
mhm.
We do Married at First Sight. We do Love is Blind. Y'all let us know some other shows, probably other than the Real Housewives franchise.
Yeah.
That type of stuff just doesn't interest us anymore. So yeah, let us know any other shows y'all would be interested and you think other people would be interested in seeing. Not saying we're gonna fully commit to it,
Yeah, or
but
topics, like if y'all just want
oh
us to
yeah,
talk about
topics
stuff.
too.
I did create a subreddit for us,
Mm-hmm.
but we haven't done the AITI videos in a little bit. But when we bring those back, I'll put that link out so y'all can submit your scenarios to us and just see what we
Yeah.
have to say. We're gonna be honest, so don't,
Yeah,
come
don't get
at
in
us.
your
But
feelings.
we're honest, but we're honest, but we're not like brutal because
Mm-mm.
who cares for a brutally honest person? Like, there's no
Mm-mm.
point in being that. But anyway,
Yeah.
we'll see y'all when we see y'all.
All right.
And yeah, bye.
Bye.